Hi, you guys. It's Jerry O'Neill. Some call me the Stash up here in the Villages. What is this supposed to be about? Marc
Daniels?
Daniels? Do I know him? Oh, Marc, we love you.
Perfection. The UCF Knights will do something no one else in college football can claim. Play them all, win them all, unbeaten, 13-0.
Whenever I'm talking to people, they're comparing your dad to some of the most iconic, great broadcasters. And all those broadcasters have a call. Your dad's is boom. Do y'all ever give him a hard time about that one?
Oh, boom everywhere. To the point where last year, my mom went online and had a shirt made that says he has a reservation for 6 at the Cabana, boom.
On the back of it. He even texts us sometimes if we tell him something great that happens about our day, his response is boom. That's his response. So we're used to it now, but it's just a little hint that is within our family. That's just anything that happens, anything big, whether it's with UCF or with our family, it's just boom.
He's got a reservation for 6 in the Cabanas. He's gone. Touchdown. Boom.
This is a guy that is battle tested. He has skin in the game, in a broadcasting game. He's put his time in, and you can tell in that voice and those calls and that boom. See, I can't do it like him, but that boom.
When Marc calls the game, I almost catch myself listening to him more than I probably should, because I should be analyzing a play.
When I was going to school at UCF, listening to sports talk radio, I was listening to Marc Daniels do his show, but also calling the games in the car when you were at the Citrus Bowl prior to the Bounce House, prior to Spectrum Stadium being here.
And I'm fine tuning. That's 740. I hear it. And that's how we kept up with UCF football back in the 90s. But there was the internet. I still get chills. I still get, a mark of a good, and no pun intended, a mark of a good broadcaster is when the eyes well up, you get the chills, and you know what happened, but you still get excited. Marc brings that to the table.
One of the traditions that we do is we sync up the TV to the radio, but it has to be specifically on the exact time. I think Mom's been doing that for kind of the whole, our entire lives. I remember the old bigger radios with antennas that we literally would do our best to try and sync up, and now we have our phones to be able to listen to it.
I think 3 words would probably describe Marc Daniels, job well done. I think 25 years being the voice of UCF for football, basketball, and baseball, a lot of patience, a lot of perseverance, and just job well done.
He was so good at what he did, even when his voice just projected. I thought when I first met him, he was somebody from ESPN or something. I didn't know. And our relationship, me being the defensive coordinator at the time, I did a lot of interviews with Marc, and he was great. Was just the ultimate professional in everything that he did.
Marc Daniels is one of the most passionate people I've ever met, and he's an inspiration to me, and he's taught me so much about what we do in radio, especially sports talk radio. And so I've sort of idolized him, to be honest with you.
That was the one guy that, just listening to him on the air, he was irreverent, he's smart, he's thought-provoking.
I think it would be hard to have a truly credible sports radio station in Orlando without Marc Daniels.
He will call the game, he'll keep his own stats, he'll follow a radio broadcast log, he'll communicate with me, he'll communicate with Gary, he'll communicate with Jerry on the field, and with no help. And I don't think I've ever worked with anybody that is that skilled in what they do, and Marc Daniels is the guy.
Obviously Marc is a true professional. And so my role on the sidelines is to bring periodic tidbits. But there would be times where he'd be able to hear in his ear what I was saying before it went over the air. And we were trying to record a segment, and I messed up. It was my line. I was supposed to say something about Gary Parrish. And I said, Gary Parrish, a 10-year NFL veteran. and I messed something up, and I said, of course, most of that was as a backup. Well, Gary looked at me and Mark laughed, so we did it 2 or 3 times. Every time we get to that line, we'd all start to laugh. So now it's game time. We don't have time to pre-record the segment. He had to get up in the middle of the segment on the air and laughing so hard, had to leave. And I was laughing so hard I couldn't talk. So now Gary Paris is left alone to talk, and he started doing the weather.
Some of the funniest moments we've ever had have been over names of people out there on the field. And it was years ago, we were playing Hawaii, and I had a kid's name. I really practiced hard on that, 10 syllables. Mark says, I don't think you'll get that out at all. Well, in the game, here's the play. And I butchered it. He's laughing so hard at my pronunciation that I got to be known as the butcher.
My favorite memory was during the conference championship game last year. It was so cool. I remember watching everything going down, seeing Coach Hype just hyping everybody up, knowing my sister's in the student section, and I just will never forget that moment where the game is sealed and he catches the interception, and I just leapt out of my chair and just ran to my dad, and he called the last minute of the game as we're both hugging each other, jumping up and down.
When we got the chance to have college game day, I knew that would be the greatest day of my life. I camped out at 6 p.m. the night before, and I got a giant fat head of my dad, and I proudly held that up for 3 hours on college game day, and it made it on ESPN. His head was on it, but it was just so amazing because people would text him and be like, oh my gosh, we see you on college game day, because his head is just in the back of Heupel, and it was just so amazing because, you know, people recognized him, and I was able to recognize his passion.
His broadcast of the Alabama game, when Javier Borrelli kicked that field goal that won it, and hearing him scream on the radio, and to win in that atmosphere, you know, Bear Bryant and Alabama and the storied program that they had, and it was homecoming of all days.
Kick's on the way, kick is up, kick is good! 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 Yes! 3 seconds to play, Borrelli has hit the field goal! Oh, man, I tell you what, guys, we have waited so long for that!
25 years calling UCF football. Now that's one thing. Another thing is to have never missed one single football game in those 25 years. And so with that comes a lot of sacrifice.
I know I had to sacrifice a little, and then when you think about football, basketball, baseball, the job he's done, I know he's enjoyed it immensely. He wouldn't trade it for anything of his career, but he's earned the highest respect on all 3 of those sports from his peers as well as all the UCF fans.
He has really taught me that when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And no matter what the win-loss record is, no matter how many bowl games we go or don't go to, if we're going to a New Year's Six or if we're not going anywhere, his passion for the team and the school has never wavered. And it shows the power of commitment to the school and the fans and the team. And for me, I try and emulate that in my life to show that the passion and the dedication, no matter what's going on, if you love what you do, then that can carry you so far. And it's carried him for 25 years, and gosh knows how many more.
All of the memories that I'm sure he has when he looks back at 300 different games, home and away. You know, sometimes 1,000 degrees heat, sometimes, you know, wind chill factor. So it wasn't always fun. Not everything was always fun, but everything was perfect for us because it meant we were together. Our friendship continued to grow and blossom. We had each other's backs. And those are memories, like I said, that kept me young.
Obviously, his passion has gained tremendously since he first got there. And I'm sure he's had opportunities to probably leave and go somewhere else. But he saw where this place could be. You know, he had a vision just like a lot of coaches that coached there knew where this athletic program could be. And that's why he stuck around. This is his family.
This university's been blessed to have Marc Daniels for 25 years. What a phenomenal thing to say about a guy because you love him, but this university, he loves this university too.